All right, good morning, everybody, on Tuesday morning, May 4th. I hope you guys all had an incredible weekend and enjoyed the beautiful weather. And it is a sign of things to come as the market is heating up. We got a ton of information for you today, a lot of stuff around being proactive with your buyers. Data is the new dollar. And what are some of my insights as we look back to April of 21? And what is the market telling us? And here's what I'll tell you. It's a very deceptive market. Okay. And I'm going to give you the insights to that as we wrap up. But I want to kind of kick off and as a follow up to last week's theme, I shared with you, and again, our mission, our vision, our belief system, our values, and our perspective as a company as we head in and look ahead to next week, May 13th, with Red Day upon us. We had the opportunity to share an incredible story from Mr. Bob's Under the Bridge and the incredible organization that they have built. And I want to root and ground the group around our mission statement, around to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. This is the epitome of what Red Day is all about on May 13th. And I encourage you to get involved because it is a fabric of our culture, our community, and our environment to give back where we live, to re-energize ourselves and to pour into others. And so with that, I am super stoked to jump into a conversation with a great partner who has allowed us to come to their organization. And I'm going to ask Terry to jump on. And Terry from Zacharias Acres, are you on this morning? Terry? No. All right. Well, if Terry is unable to join us, all good. No worries. I have a backup plan to give you guys a little bit of perspective as to what is Zacharias Acres and how can you give back by signing up to participate to volunteer on Red Day on May 13th.
Good morning, Charlie.
Oh, Terry, you're on.
I appreciate it. I've been here. I'm not a professional Zoom caller like many people have become, but thank you for having me.
Yeah, totally. So give us a little bit of background about your organization.
Absolutely. Zacharias Acres is located in Oconomowoc. We're a small nonprofit. We serve kids with special needs, and we don't do that in a complex fashion. What we do is we say to these children, you are not a mistake. You can be yourself at Zacharias Acres. Come have fun, learn a little bit about nature. In the process, have the bar raised upon your behalf so that you too can be a valued member of society. So to give you an idea, this Saturday we'll have a Mother's Day event. Many of the families we serve are led by single moms, and they have their hands full. And you can imagine with the world going virtually and they having an employment obligation and no longer able to send their kids to school, it's been a real rough 13 months for a lot of families. So we'll bring in massage therapists and physical therapists and pedicurists and manicurists, and we'll pamper the moms in our treehouse and tend to their children. So we'll have a couple hundred people on site, and the kids of all diagnoses might ride in a hay wagon, go fishing, build a craft, visit our greenhouse and our orchard. And again, in no uncertain terms, know that they're not a mistake. Their life has value. They can do something as part of the community that perhaps they've been sold short on for many years. And we take them in all shapes and sizes, all ages. We serve upwards of 8,000 people free of charge. So when you talk about volunteering and helping the cause, you will in fact have a great impact on many lives, people who cannot pay you back, many people you don't even know exists, but the one who needs to know that you've done good work will certainly know. And you will have a great bearing on our ability to serve more kids free of charge.
For sure. And Terry, how is our group going to be able to help you when we come out in force on May 13th?
Well, we've got 125 acres in the town of Oconomowoc. And you can imagine what that means in the way of work opportunities. So there are things to do both inside and outside, whether it's painting or clearing brush. We've always got weeding and watering and planting to do. We have, my goodness, over 5,000 square feet of raised garden beds. We just finished construction on a 5,000 square foot greenhouse. We do a lot of planting and harvesting in our orchard. So if you're a gardener, if you're a handy person, if you have trades background, if you love the outdoors, If you are afraid of the sun and want to be inside, we will find you an assignment. There is no shortage of opportunity, no shortage of work. And that is exactly what it is. You will feel Zacharias Acres not only in your heart as you learn more about it that day, but you'll also feel it in your bones for about 72 hours after.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, Terry, what else can our crew know about Zacharias Acres to encourage them to sign up to give back to your organization?
I would
What can
encourage
you
you
leave
to
us with?
take a look at our website, zachariasacres.org, ZACHARIAHS, zachariasacres.org. You'll see whom we serve, how we serve. There's some short videos to give you some perspective. We serve any and all school districts within Southeast Wisconsin. People come to us from Appleton and Green Bay, certainly Milwaukee, Waukesha County. And maybe you know somebody who lived in the world of special needs and you understand the challenges that they go through. What I've come to learn in my years of volunteering at Zacharias Acres is that we serve excuseless people. We serve people who want to be acknowledged, who want to be accepted, who want to be loved. Many of the kids we serve can't audibly speak, but they hear everything around them and they understand what's going on. It's almost like being in a comatic state. And they simply want to be part of the world in which they live. And you will have a great hand in doing that, because as you help us beautify the property and make it more accessible to these kids, that just simply means we can serve more kids with special needs and give them some hope and give them a chance.
Yeah, well, we very much thank you for allowing our group to come and pour into your organization on Thursday, May 13th, because in the current environment in the world, it's been challenging to find organizations that would welcome a group of our size to your property. And we're always looking for ways to give back and serve our communities. And we thank you for that. And guys, be on the lookout from notifications from Megan, myself, Britton, Diana, as to how to sign up. And if you want to participate in person and volunteer at Zacharias Acres on May 13th, be on the lookout for the sign up link. And in the follow-up email this afternoon, we will make sure to include the website for Zacharias Acres for you guys to dig a little deeper and see what Terry, all the incredible things that these guys are doing and that Terry has described for us this morning. Terry, thank you. We appreciate you jumping on and giving us a little bit of your time to share with us your incredible talent and treasure that you have at Zacharias Acres, and we look forward to partnering with you.
Very much appreciated, Charlie. Happy selling all. Take care.
Awesome. Have a great day.
You too.
All right, guys. So be on the lookout, right? May 13th. We talked about it. Red Day, Zacharias Acres. It's an incredible opportunity for us to get together and gather as a community to volunteer with an incredible organization. We will make sure to send out the sign up code. And as a reminder, as we had Mr. Bob on last week, for those of you who are still sensitive to everything that is going on in the world and want to participate in Red Day, and another way to give back to an incredible organization. We're also collecting donations at all 3 office locations for Mr. Bob's Under the Bridge. You can see here a lot of what they are requesting is clothing heading into the summer. Specifically, you can see the list here, along with masks and shoes and sheets and pillows and blankets and comforters. I know Megan and I cleaned out our house this weekend, and along with providing a bunch of things that we were able to donate from our kids to ourselves. We also went out and purchased a handful of things and provided it in the big box here in the North Shore. But note that whether you're in Lake Country or in Tosa or in North Shore, that you, if your way to give back to Red Day is by participating to support Mr. Bob's Under the Bridge, you have the ability to do that as well. So we're providing 2 options for you guys, right? Red Day is an incredible day to give back. It's a part of our mission, our vision, and our value statement. And you have the opportunity to both do a drive from a collection for Mr. Bob's Under the Bridge, or participate in person, be a part of the culture in the community, and be alive and well at Zacharias Acres. So be on the lookout for the sign up for that as well. All right, upcoming training and events. What do we got coming up? And what I want to do is actually take a little bit of a rewind, run it back for you. As last week, we host an incredible mastermind with the administrative success team of the Loken Group. Guys, for perspective, last year they closed $646 million in closed volume. just in the Houston metro area. And what's crazy about this, what you need to understand about the Loken Group, they do this with all of only 8 agents. What they have is an incredible support network behind them. And so what I wanted to do was twofold. One, I wanted to remind the group that you have access to this recording via our KW Milwaukee YouTube page if you want to run it back and learn from what these guys poured into our group. But two, I also kind of recapped some of my key takeaways that I thought were relevant across any level of production, whether you're on a team, whether you lead a team, whether you support a team, or whether you're an individual agent or just an agent with one administrative person or success person, right? So here were kind of my key takeaways from the Loken Group if you missed it. Here's the first: scripts and dialogues. Every single person, from their rainmaker to their agents, including their administration and operations team, participate in scripts and dialogues every single day. It was incredible. They had 5 people on their team who jumped on the call to pour into our group, and every single one of them mentioned the importance of scripts and dialogues as a way for them to understand what to say when they need to say it. It was incredible the level of confidence that these people had in order to ask for referrals. And that was my next point. Referrals. Every single person on their team, whether they were an agent, administrative support, operations, marketing person, the photography, at multiple touch points within their conversation, their team asks for referrals multiple times throughout the transaction. And I firmly believe this comes from a place of 2 things. One, everybody in the organization participates in scripts and dialogues, and they believe in the assertiveness Bill of Rights. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should check out the Dave Jenks conversation from a couple weeks ago. Essentially, what Dave said is you get more comfortable the more confident you are in asking for referrals, and that the reason why their team so much believes in scripts and dialogues, it gives them the words to say when they need to say it in order to have the confidence they want to in order to ask for referrals. Next up, we spent a ton of time on what they call passing the baton moments. Passing the baton moments are critical, right? They only have 8 agents who did 650 million for round math, right? And what they talked about was the reason they were able to do that with only so many few agents was because the pass the baton moments are one of the key critical success factors. What do I mean by pass the baton moments? The agent goes in for a listing presentation, or the agent goes in for a buyer consultation, and the agent then inputs the notes from the conversation into their CRM system, right? Everyone understands the client's motivation. And the important aspect of this was, if the success team or the administrative support staff goes in and they're going into a client and they mismatch on client's motivations, or they mismatch on what the client's why is as to why they are selling, they cannot possibly provide the best customer service experience. So they talked a lot about their system around how they ensure critical pass the baton moments are shared amongst the team, and it all starts with communication. So check that out. Next up, the last thing, this hit me over the head like a ton of bricks. They survey their clients multiple times throughout the transaction. Right? What I find essentially, and I see this all the time in Milwaukee, what happens is most of the agents in and around Milwaukee survey or ask for reviews at the end of a transaction. The problem is that's reactionary in nature. It doesn't allow you to be proactive. What was a real awesome takeaway from the Loken Group conversation was this. The Loken Group has a dedicated team of customer service analysts and customer service they actually call it customer experience people. And what this does is at multiple points throughout the transaction, when they survey their clients, it allows them the ability to take corrective action in the moment. So if something is wonky or the energy is different or something just doesn't feel right to a client, they're able to course correct in the moment to ensure that they are providing their clients the highest level of customer service. So again, those were just a four to five key takeaways from the Loken Group conversation. But I thought it was an incredible reminder, guys, that the entire conversation, it's an hour's worth of a YouTube, is available to you on our YouTube channel, the KW Milwaukee YouTube channel. Incredible conversation. No matter where you are, whether you're on a team, support a team, run a team, individual agent with an admin, whatever it may be, the conversation was worthy for everyone to understand. And so I wanted to make sure that we circle back to that for what was an incredible opportunity. So with that, moving ahead, upcoming, and I'm going to hammer this home again, guys, there's so many live streams and webinars available through KW Connect, but we have some incredible content coming up to you live this week. So tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., Jay Schmidt and Janine Warner are doing one of the most favorite training events locally here in Milwaukee. These guys are overcoming the listing objections. So what do they mean by that? They're going to all go through what exactly do you say and when do you need to say it, AKA scripts and dialogues. What are their scripts and dialogues when they overcome objections? How do they overcome the objection of when it talks about their commission? How do they overcome the objection when it comes to their BAC fee, when they're charging $7.95 per 6% plus $7.95? How are they articulating their value proposition, right? Because in the absence of value, people go to price. Check out the Overcome Listing Objections tomorrow morning with JSG at 11 o'clock, where Jay and Janine will go through how to overcome listing objections. Few other things, there's a few updates for you on the May training calendar coming up. You'll notice we actually had to move a few of the Pedro's food trucks back into the month, and you'll see in the beginning of June. So be on the lookout there. We'll communicate that information. But we had the Lake Country office, which was supposed to happen tomorrow. The streets actually shut down for road construction, and that wouldn't be any fun for the food truck. So we're going to move some of these back to better accommodate some of the situations at all the offices. And then as a reminder, next week, Wednesday, one of the most watched rewatched YouTube videos that we've had is when Kathy Popovich goes through the team listing presentation. And guys, here's one of the other things that I forgot to put on the slide. The Woken Group, right? They did 650 million. They have one buyer consultation. They have one listing presentation. Whether you sell a $3 million house or whether you sell a $300,000 house, it's all the same. That's what I know that Team Trimble does incredibly well. Yes, they do segment a little bit based on luxury and above, but the reason they're able to scale these concepts and principles is because it's consistent, right? You are not able to create scale if you're trying to create something unique every time. Remember, this isn't Burger King. You can't have it your way. So I encourage you. Tomorrow, listing objections with JSG. Team Trimble is doing their listing presentation with Kathy Popovich next Wednesday at 11. And then a reminder, we talked a little bit about Red Day on May 13th. You can participate in the drive for Bob's Under the Bridge, or you can participate live in person for that. The rest of the month, some incredible training and educational opportunities you can see here on the screen. And as a reminder, within the PDF that gets sent out, all of this is clickable links and hyperlinks, so you can jump right into the Zoom training as you see it on the calendar. All right, Lindsay, I'm flipping it over to you for Tech Tuesdays, and we're talking about agent sites in command. And I led the conversation with this morning that data is the new dollar. So give us a little bit of insight on agent sites and what that actually means for data and the agent.
Yeah, definitely. So you guys, the agent sites in command, the point of it being is to get your clients engaged. So it's completely integrated into command for that seamlessly capturing. And just another reminder, the website is the same thing as your KW consumer app. So the great thing about it is that if they have downloaded your KW app, they can log in using that same email, same password to your website, access all of their saved searches, collections. And the best part about that is that you can track all of that within command. So you can track their activity, you can see what listings your clients are interested in. And you can also create those saved searches. And if you want to, and if they want that, you can set up those automated emails so that anytime there's a new listing or a price adjustment in that particular search, they're going to get those email notifications. So you'll see in those couple of screenshots, this is what you're going to see on the back end. This is all of the activity that you get as the agent. So the first couple little notifications are those Kelly notifications. So you guys, reminder as well, if you have not downloaded the Kelly app, this is the main reason you want to download that app. Eventually, this is going to be way more robust. It's going to be command mobile. You're going to be able to do a lot more on your phone with command once they update that app, and they're working on it, trust me, I promise. But just having that Kelly app on there, you're going to get those push notifications. Anytime someone logs into your website, anytime someone creates a new account on your app or your website, you're going to get that push notification if you have this app. And then when you go into command and you actually go into that contact detail page, so you see that other screenshot in the bottom right corner, this is this particular content. So I got this notification, Lindsay Test has logged in, here she is. Okay, now I can access, what did she look at? What collection did she create? And you'll see on the very right-hand side, it'll say updated collection at that date on that at that time, and that property address, that's clickable. So you as the agent can actually click on that link and see what listing they saved into their collection. So those collections, they're favoring those listings. And so you can have that intelligent conversation with them and say, hey, I see that you favored this listing. Are you interested in a showing? Are you interested in that area? Should we explore some other homes there? So this gives you that insight to just have those better conversations with your clients and with these leads that you're getting through your app, through your website. And so I get a lot of feedback that the site is really simple. You can't really customize it, but that's the point. The point is that the client can go on and they can just search, because that's what they want to do on any real estate related website. So there's no point for your clients to download Zillow or to go on Zillow.com. And you'll notice this is Zillow's homepage. You've got the main home screen image, you have a headline, you have the search bar, and then you have a couple of links at the top. And you'll notice that there's a little green icon in the upper right corner. That's me logged in as a consumer. So if I click that, I can view my account settings, I can view my saved searches. And so Charlie, if you flip to the next slide, you're going to see the KW agent site. Very, very similar. So the point is just for your client to go on, search, and interact with it. Log in. That's the point, is to get them to log into your site, because that's where you get that gold. That's where you get those activities and you can interact with them more. So this is, again, this is me logged in. So I can access my buyer and seller guide. I can go through and check off my steps. Same thing is what I can do on my phone. And if I click that search drop down, that's where I can view my saved searches. So me as the consumer, I can create my own saved searches, but then you as the agent, you can also set up your own saved search for that client, and they're going to be able to view both. And then also those collections. And then I can also edit my account settings. I can add my co-buyer in here. And then you'll also see the drop down for all of your pages that you've set up on your site where you want your clients to access. So very, very similar. It's, you get right to the point for your client so that they can easily search and just get involved with searching for properties and interacting with you on the web, on their phone. So if you want to learn more about setting up the agent site, there were a couple of changes. So today's workshop is actually over Zoom. So I'm going to update that video on our YouTube channel just because there are a couple of changes just with editing existing sites. So today is over Zoom at 1 o'clock. So I'm sure that'll be posted on Facebook with the link. The link is also in the training calendar. So you can check that out today, or if you want to catch that on YouTube. Otherwise, I'll be doing the same training, but in person on Thursday in Lake Country, same time, 11 o'clock after productivity coaching.
Perfect. Lindsay, thank you. Guys, I want to reiterate 2 points here. And here's the 2 points I want to make that I think agents make a lot of mistakes on. First of all, the consumer very clearly is telling us what they want out of a search portal. What they want out of your website is a search portal of information. They don't need the encyclopedia of who you are, your biography, and your resume. They don't need to know your reviews per se, and they don't really want to know, all this other junk. All they want to know is exactly how do they find homes. That's why people go to Zillow. That's why people go to charlottewest.com. It's why people go to all these Trulia, realtor.com, all these things. What they're looking for, the consumers are telling us, they're looking for search functionality. Second, the other thing that Command and your agent website through KW allows you to do is provide a curated experience for your clients. What do I mean by that? Think of it like this. When I go into Amazon, what shows up for me in Amazon and what shows up for Lindsay Vranek in Amazon is vastly different. It's not the same experience. Think about your Netflix account. What I see in Netflix and what Lindsay sees in Netflix are vastly different. It's the same thing. It's the ability to curate an experience for your client that is unique, right? And the technology allows you to do that in order to create scale. So I would encourage you, I think many agents get in their own way as it relates to websites and what they believe the most value proposition is within the website. And I'll tell you what it is. It's search functionality. So, and data is the new dollar. When you understand what your clients are looking for, you're able to serve them at the highest possible level. And I'll give you one last example. The example I have is, and I've seen this in my own household, Megan is working with a buyer. They say they want to look 300,000, let's just say Whitefish Bay, Fox Point, and Bayside. And then all of a sudden they start sending Megan Zillow links to $300,000 homes in Waukesha, Tosa, Elm Grove, Brookfield, wherever else, right? And she's like, well, wait, I thought you wanted to be on the east side. Well, yeah, I wanted to be on the west side. Well, if you were able to curate that information through your website and you knew exactly where they were looking, you were able to be proactive in that conversation to provide them what they need, what they were looking for. So that's my challenge for you as it relates to your agent websites. And Lindsay is here to help you cultivate and curate those relationships for your clients. All right. The sheriff, Joni Reed, it's on to you. And the conversation around being proactive with buyers. And a lot of this stems from an incredible conversation I had last week with a great agent over in the innovation office space who felt like they were kind of hitting their head against the wall as it relates to client communication and more specifically professional standards with their co-brokes. So Joni, Sheriff Joan, what is your content of the week?
Well, just reviewing a lot of the calls that we've been getting and things that we're learning about that buyers and their buyers agents, all of you, are facing. We decided to stress the importance of preparation of your buyer, making sure that you do a buyer consultation with your buyer before you start looking at houses, before you even start really zeroing in on anything that they like. It is so critical, and I want to stress this buyer consultation is separate from your buyer agency discussion with your buyer. You want to have that up front. You want to talk about their choice, having buyer agency. But what this reminders are, these reminders are for the type of conversation you're going to have with your buyer before they get into this highly competitive market. Number one, share the current market statistics with your buyer. Show them the charts. Charlie's information that he shares on our team meetings are valuable charts, visual comparisons that they can see what's happening in Milwaukee, what's happening in certain areas in Milwaukee, and that kind of information makes it clear that you're not about what you know, you're talking about what is actual statistics, what are actual information. So it bolsters your position of saying, this is not my opinion, this is what's really happening in the area that you're looking at. So share those statistics, share those charts with your buyer before you get started. Also, talk to them a little bit about the rules that listing agents and buyers agents deal with in making sure that we do have a fair, free and open market on buying houses. In this market of high demand and low supply, there's an awful lot of creative ideas from both listing agents and buyers agents on how to stand out and how to get their offer accepted. So talk to them about what we have to do as buyer agent as far as setting appointment times, getting everything set up, reviewing the standards that the listing agent is putting out as far as when they're going to look at offers and things like that. Talk to them a little bit about our policies and what we owe to one another, and the role of the agent as far as their client is concerned. So a few pointers next. Really important when you're talking to your buyer before you get started looking is to ask them, have them choose how they're going to proceed in this market. Give them the options, tell them what to expect. Ask them upfront and first what their important goal is in this process. Is it immediate? Is it a bigger house? Is it for something that they see into the future? Is whatever their motivation, as we spoke about before, or their goal in this process. And then your role is to help them meet their needs. So talk about their willingness to write the highest and strongest offer. They may have to be in a position to do that. What does that really mean? What would they put down if they had to write their highest and strongest offer? And that can be per home. It may not be the same highest and strongest offer, obviously, over all of the houses they're going to look at, but give them the idea that they may be in a position to write that kind of an offer. I like to refer to a no regret price and put in maybe your highest price is your no regret price. If the house sells for $1 more, you don't care because it's not worth it to you at that price. Anything over your no regret price. It's a good way for them to sort of set their boundaries and they don't get into escalating their price a little bit more than what they are ready to spend or what they can plan for. Again, talk about the professional courtesies in the marketplace and make sure that your client sees you performing with these courtesies. You may not get that in response, but I want to make sure that your clients see you taking the high road and the high standard in this. Bring up the idea that they probably are going to get some rejections of their offer. They think their offer is wonderful. They think their offer is the best that can be, and then they get it rejected. Talk about that actual situation. What happens if you think you write your highest and best offer and your cleanest offer and it's still turned down? You're going to face that, let them know that that's a situation that they have to deal with and prepare them for that before you get into that actual offer situation. Your role is to work in their best interest, remind them of that, and their best interest in what their motivations are and reaching their goals. So next slide, I believe in the last. Talk about the different contingencies. And again, this is all up front. This is all before you sit down to write an offer. If you're talking about these things while in the midst of writing an offer and getting it turned in, the adrenaline is too high and they can't think as clearly as they can if you discuss it all up front. So talk about inspection contingency, what that means, what right to cure and no right to cure means. Appraisal, same thing. Is it something that I really have to have in an offer? And if I do, am I going to give them right to cure? Talk about their financing, obviously. It's probably the most important discussion you're going to have with them. Make sure that they're already in touch with a lender, have a pre-approval, all of that. Don't wait until the point that they need to write an offer and then they start scrambling for their financing. Talk about the idea if they absolutely have to sell their house in order to write, they're going to be in a little bit of a disadvantage in this market, but what are the things that they can add to that contingency if it's so important to appease the seller? And testing. Some people have some really severe allergies or objections to certain conditions in the house, and they need those tested. Talk about that contingency and how important it is. But again, be prepared, have all of these things in line with your buyers so that when they get to the point, they know it's their choice. They're not being overrun by emotion and anxiety, and they're getting their best in their house, and they're getting their best in their age.
Perfect. Joan, I totally agree. And one of the things that I do want to reiterate from what Joan's conversation was twofold. One, when you present data with facts, it removes emotion from the conversation, right? And in an environment where there is so much competition and there is a lot of funkiness in the energy of what's going on within the market, you got to present facts with data to remove the emotion within the transaction. The second thing, and I think the biggest thing over the theme around buyer agency or the buyer consultation is really around being proactive in your conversations with your agents. And you know, one of the things that I would stress to this group, and I'm seeing this across the Facebook chatter, right? What I'm seeing across the Facebook chatter is a lot of, can you believe this agent did this? Can you believe that My buyers were notified via change status in MLS, and that the listing agent didn't have the common courtesy to let me know, so I could let my clients know. My comment to that, guys, is we're never going to be able to change the world with the 4,500 realtors that are in our association. However, we can be proactive with our clients and our communication on the front side to make them aware of where we are in the market of the moment, and the ways in which the market should work around professional courtesies. So in the event that it doesn't, that they were educated on the front side to help alleviate any anxiety or emotion within the transaction, I think will serve you and your clients at a really high level. So in the event that something happens, instead of the client being really upset with you as to why they found out via a random email, you can go back to say, hey, remember the conversation we had in the very beginning that talked about the market of the moment that we are in level of competitiveness? Sometimes, unfortunately, in our industry, I can't control the outcomes and the way in which the listing agent performs. And it's a really bummer. I will get feedback as it relates to our offer. And I'm sorry that you didn't hear from me first. But we have to set those expectations up front. And I think that's a lot of what Joni was really honing in on, is really being proactive in proactive in our conversations with our buyers to set the tone for it, so that you can ensure that you're providing the highest level of service. And that happens when you're proactive. So Joni, thank you. All right, guys, now I am jumping into my content, and last week we shared with you this letter from Chris Ruskowich, and she was generous of her time to have jump on, right? And around question for you, what is your magic number? And to help kind of stir and create some dialogue and conversations with people. And one of the things that I wanted to follow up on that with is twofold. One, I had a handful of people call me and ask me if they could recreate the letter. Absolutely. That's why we share it with you, is so that you could get ideas. Our job is to plant seeds, right? Our job is to plant seeds for you to think about how you do this business differently, so you can absolutely recreate this letter. Another thing that I followed up with, and a follow-up concept for you that I got from someone this week in a conversation, was they sent this letter out with unsolicited CMAs to your clients, right? And they sent unsolicited CMAs, and they sent them out to people to help educate them on where they believe their home was headed. And the results were profound in terms of the number of callbacks and conversations that it led to. So I wanted to reshare this letter. I'll make sure that we include it in our follow-up in the insights and resources email that goes out on a weekly basis. And I wanted to plant another seed with you as it relates to how are you finding listings, and providing unsolicited CMAs to your clients, I think, is an interesting tactic that we could definitely water that seed to see where it goes. All right, jumping in next. And before I get into kind of what is going on in April of 2021, and to give you a comparison as to where we are, when I dug into the data and I really looked at the story, I came up with some key themes around the market of the moment that I thought was really important and vital for you guys to hear and understand. And so I have a handful of key themes that I want you guys to really kind of hone in on, and really think about where you are as it relates to where your business stands halfway through the year, because essentially we are halfway through the year. Don't make a mistake about it. And even though we're sitting here on May 4th. So here's what I want you to remind you. Warning, before we even go into the data, the market is deceptive. We are in a very deceptive market right now, and that will make sense more here in a second. So I need you to not pay attention so much to the trade rags and the media, and you're going to start hearing things, because you got to remember, we're hurdling now a spring market that was really, really soft with all the stay-at-home orders. Is the market that we are in right now is very deceptive, and more on that in a second. Two, it is also a very humbling market. And what I mean by that is there's tons of people across the MLS, no matter what company you're with, that historically have had a ton of market share, have done a ton of production. And this year has been very, very challenging for a variety of reasons for many people. Reminder, this is a humbling market that we are in. Everybody assumes that we are in the most en fuego market of all time. And remember, go back to point number one, the market is deceptive. I'll mention that more in a second. Someone else said to me last week, I had a coaching call on Friday morning, and my coach, Chad, who I've talked about a little bit here, he's from the Houston market. Chad said to me, remember, Charlie, you got to remind your group, great markets don't last, great agents do. So we are in a humbling market, and yes, the market is deceptive, but great markets don't last, great agents do. How are you setting yourself up, your systems, your processes, your customer service experience to ensure that you are a great agent and that you continue to last through the ups and downs of the market of the moment? And then lastly, the thing that I think our group needs to hear the most is you are not in it to have a great year. You are in it to build a great career, right? You are not in it to have a great year. You are in it to build a great career. These are my 4 reminders of the market of the moment. The market is deceptive. It is very a humbling market. Great markets don't last, great agents do, and you're not in it for a great year. You're here to build a great career. So let's get into what is the April market telling us, right? And reminder, this is across the 5-county metro southeastern Wisconsin area. Units sold. So if I just look at what was sold, closed units, and reminder, this is a lag metric. This is all the stuff that you got paid on, but it is not indicative to future success, right? But here's where this is the first metric that shows up that talks about how the market is deceptive. And what I mean by that is if you look at April of this year versus April of last year, the market was up 5.6% on closed units. What you need to know is exactly this. That's deceptive, right? Here's why. When you really look back on it, we have to look back at as to what and how the market operated in 2019, because in April of last year, everybody was at home. There was not a whole lot of activity going on. So again, if the market was up, in one other caveat to these numbers, it is May 4th, it is very early. These numbers may change slightly based on agents inputting things into MLS as a delay from end of April, but they're a great direction in nature. So these numbers may settle a little bit, but it's a good direction. So here's where we are, market of the moment. Units sold, it's deceptive. It was up 5.6 in April, but if you compare it versus 2019, and everything I'm going to talk about here is to compare it this year versus 2019, because 2020 is a deceptive market. When you look at it, units sold were down in the month of April versus April of 2019. Now, that's the reality of the situation. We are in a situation in a down market, right? Here, showing time activity. Again, I look at this for buyer demand, an indicative of the buyer demand. And this is a lead metric because this is going to lead to future income or future business or future activities for you. Buyer demand remains really, really strong when you compare it to 2020 and 2019. Now, when you look here at sales absorption, as a reminder, it's the percentage of inventory that goes under contract within a given month. It's the truest indication of demand. What you need to know is April of 2021 saw the highest sales absorption rate over the last 2 years, going back to April of 2019. When you compare it to 2020 of last year, again, 2020, it's a deceptive market. It was up 88%. Right? It is and the reason why I say it's a somewhat deceptive metric is because demand is really at an all-time high. I mean, we've never seen it like this. And when you compare it to versus 2019, going back to April of 2019, it was up 47%. So still compared to April of 2019, incredibly, incredibly strong as it relates to sales absorption and the percentage of inventory that goes under contract. And this is the highest indication of demand within the marketplace besides the showing time activity. Next up, this big shout out to Brian Pat, who sent this to me this morning. One of the things that I wanted to include in this is the other reason why sales absorption rates are so high of for sale homes is you got to understand, everybody right now is talking about lumber pricing, but do you really understand what lumber pricing is? Okay, this is a 5-year historical index of lumber pricing, right? Going back to 2017, and I don't even have to understand lumber pricing. And here's what I can tell you. I know how to read a bar graph. And when I can read a bar graph, that pretty much tells me it's going to the moon. And I can tell you lumber pricing is ridiculously expensive right now. It's a major factor in our current buyer demand of inventory on the market. Because of the crushing pricing of lumber. What this essentially means is twofold. One, it makes it incredibly unattractive for new construction. The lumber pricing makes it incredibly unattractive for new construction. And two, remodeling is over the moon expensive right now. So what's happening? You're seeing buyers, not only do we have this influx of new first-time home buyers, you also have the trade-up buyer who's, instead of remodeling their home or adding on because it's cost prohibitive, they're actually looking to trade up to that next price point because the cost of lumber is prohibitive within the marketplace. So I wanted to share with you, big shout out to Brian Pat for sending this in, share with you the lumber pricing index here over a 5-year period as to why some of the buyer demand has remained incredibly strong. Now, jumping back into it, when we look at units under contract in April of 2020, there were 2,544 units that went under contract. It was up 40% versus April of last year. Units that are under contract are those that will close in May, June, and July, right? And that's indicative of future income, future activities, right? Well, here's what I know. We are in the process of building into peak selling season. The peak selling season is really going to start to begin to peak here May, June, July, August. But it's a completely deceptive metric. Why? Because when I look at the units that went under contract of April of 21 versus April of 2019, it was down 4.8%. So what does this tell me? The lead metric, when we look at it, heading into May, June, July, August, again, the market, we are in a deceptive market. Everybody wants to talk about how hot it is, but the reality of it is we're actually in a little bit of a contractionary state. And we need to understand that. It's a very humbling market. Now, next up, new unit inventory. New unit inventory, there were 2,899 units that came on the market in April of 21. When you compare that versus April of 2020, it was up 32%. Again, that's a deceptive metric. It's a deceptive statistic. Now, when you compare that versus April of 2019, a true indicator of how the market should perform and will perform, it was down 13%. So again, when you really look at new inventory units, it was down 13%. Here's what you really need to know. It's an improvement. We have been seeing, and I'll touch on this in a second, down anywhere from 20 to 30% on inventory units. So to see it only down 13% is a trend improvement on where we have been. Now, let's get to where I was talking about. When we look at total inventory, when we look at April of 21 versus April of 20, it was down 25%. But again, the true market indicator that I'm looking at is what happened in 2019. When we look at April of 21 versus April of 2019, it's down 35%. However, here's what I want you to see. When you look at it over let's just look at the last 7-month index. When you look at the 7-month historical index, when you look at October of 20 versus October 19, it was down 20%. I'm going to build on this here, so stay with me. November of 20 versus November of 2019, it was down 24. It got worse. December, it was down 26%. It got worse. January, it was down 29%. It got worse. February, it was down 36%. It was the all-time worst, lowest inventory market that we've seen. February of 21 was the bottom of the inventory market. Now, here's where we start to see the positives. March, it was down 31%. Down 31% isn't any number I want to see, but it's a trend improvement from where we were. And then when you look at April, we were down 25%. Again, not anywhere I want to see, but it's an improvement from where we were. We're looking for trend improvement. So what is my take on total inventory? My take is this: it bottomed in February of 21, and we've seen 2 straight months of incremental gains. We want to continue to see this momentum as we head into May, June, July, so that we can build on 5 positive months of incremental volume. But when you look at this is why I tell you the market is very humbling and that we are about to enter into a very deceptive market. We have to double down on our strategies because the market is much tougher than what the media or what people want to portray. It is a very difficult market, and great markets don't last, great agents do. And you're not here to build a great year, you're here to build a great career. So there you go. That is my market of the moment. That is my charge to you guys as to what I see that is going on in April of 21. I will be sure to include some pricing indexes and things as we look ahead, and I have a better indication of the numbers next week. So I'll give you some price per square foot and things like that. Anything you need, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Diana. And know this, Lake Country crew, I'll let you jump off to the Lake Country meetup, North Shore, and the TEB innovation crew. I will stick around to new listings and buyer needs, guys. Be on the lookout for the insights and resources we email, and we look forward to serving your guys' business at the highest level. Guys, have a great week. Anything you need, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here for you.